She experienced threats of violence and misogynistic attacks during her time on Parliament Hill. Now Canada's former Minister of Environment and Climate Change is out with a new memoir called Run Like a Girl, detailing her time in politics and calling for more women and girls to get involved. Joining me now is Catherine McKenna. A pleasure to have you, Ms. McKenna, in studio.
Great to be here, Caryn.
I read your book, and you write very openly about being attacked for your work fighting for the environment, being harassed on the streets of Ottawa with your children. And I wonder what you say to the people who read your book, and women in particular, who read about the vitriol that you faced and think, well, why the heck would anyone get into politics?
So I didn't really want to write about the threats and attacks because it's really hard, and it's not that positive. But, I mean, I don't need sympathy. I'm out of politics now, but we need change. And so I think it's important that people realize, you know, how bad it can be and the impact it has on people like me, my family, my staff. And when I left politics, I said I would support women and girls. And this is actually part of it. Even it may seem counterintuitive, but the reality is I don't want them to go through that. And I have a letter. You can see the book. It's scrapbook format. But I received a letter from a guy, Luigi. So thank you, Luigi. He wrote me a note. He's like, I'm a conservative. And I probably don't agree with your policies, but I'm really glad that you stood up and you called out the threats and harassment because I have 3 girls. And, you know, that was important. And so I think that's part of it. I think we can't do this anymore. It is, you know, we do want women and girls and, you know, other good people to go into politics, but it's got to stop.
You speak, you write a little bit about how you made, you know, these pinky promises with children across the country who were climate-minded, and how after you left politics, you write, you still felt like you were to be accountable to them. I wonder, you know, given that the consumer carbon tax has now been scrapped, the EV mandate's on pause, the Carney government won't even commit to whether or not Canada will reach its 2030 climate targets. Do you feel like the Liberal government of today is breaking all those promises you made?
Well, so first of all, the pinky promises, like I would have so many kids that would come up to me, and they were so nice because it was actually sometimes really hard, but they're like, thank you for what you're doing. I've got my water bottle, or I'm riding my bike, or I'm doing like a clothing drive, whatever it was. And so we started this pinky promise thing. And so, of course, I'm not in politics, so I'm not elected to represent anyone, so I don't owe anyone anything except these kids. I said I would continue fighting for climate, and I am, and they are. And look, I think it's hard, you know, certainly hard for the Carney government. I mean, the attacks by Trump to our sovereignty, not even just on the trade side, are tough. But I certainly hope that they live up to the climate commitments. I mean, Mark Carney knows about climate as much as anyone. We worked domestically and internationally. But the reality is, as someone put it recently, it was a businesswoman. She said, like, climate change is like a truck that is coming for your kid. You will do anything to stop that. And so we just need to be realistic. We need to deal with trade. We need to do a bunch of different things, but we also have to tackle the climate crisis because we're all feeling it. We had people evacuated across the country from like Halifax to Manitoba because of wildfires. Like, it's a real thing. So you got to do a bunch of things in government, and it's hard. But one of those things is also be serious about tackling climate change.
Well, you say it's hard. In your chapter, Hard Things Are Hard.
Hard Things Are Hard.
Kind of gives your postmortem on what happened with the carbon tax, which you spent many years trying to sell to Canadians. I wonder, given, you know, that hard things are hard, do you think Prime Minister Carney took the easy way out?
Well, look, you have to win. I'm also, in the book, you'll see it's a lot of it. I'm a competitive swimmer. So, I mean, you got to do, that's probably the hard things are hard. You got to wake up every morning and do your workouts. But, you know, a decision had to be made, and there was a feeling that the carbon price had become too polarizing. And that chapter is about a series of things that did not go right, like in terms of, you know, talking to Canadians about what, you know, the carbon price, how it worked, and a whole range of other errors, I think, that were made, including, you know, probably by myself. But, you know, he won the election. So if he hadn't won the election, we would have lost everything on climate. But it was a bitter pill. It was a bitter pill.
I don't have much time left, but I just wanted to read one passage from your book because this line really struck me. You wrote, "I was just trying to do my job. It was hard enough tackling climate change. I resented also having to take on the mantle of being a woman in politics, too." I wonder, as you reflect on that now, what toll did that take on you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I had left politics and, I realized the weight was off my shoulder and like being called Climate Barbie, I found it really annoying, although my kids are like Greta Gerwig, the movie, it's fine. It's a, feminist movie. But yeah, I just wanted to do my job. I didn't wake up every day and say, I'm a woman, I'm going to go tackle climate change. I was like, I'm just going to try to tackle climate change and do it in a way that brings people together. So yeah, it is tough. And I think we need to make it better for women in politics. I promised I would do that. So that's hopefully, what this book is about. But I also hope people find the book fun. I talk about dancing with my friends in my book club because they got me through the day. I'd send an SOS. I'd be like, this is a hard day. I have chips and wine. Come to my house.
Okay, Minister Catherine McKenna, former minister, thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate it.
It was great. Thanks.